Welcome to the John Show with your hosts, John Doogie Clouser.
All right. What's going on, everyone? How are you? We are here on a new episode of the podcast. This is your host, me, Juan D. Clouser, on the Juan Solo Show, episode 182, I believe. So what's up? How are you? Haven't you guys ran into any aliens? None. Apparently they're here all over the place. They're all over. They're next door. They're in the water. They're in the volcanoes. They're everywhere. But I've yet to fucking see one. It's like, apparently us, the U.S. government and the aliens, they have a treaty saying that they can, Americans. It's so funny. It's like, the funny thing is, though, is like to think that you think that your country is better than America. Why would you think the aliens want to go to Denmark? What the fuck's there? A Danish? I don't know. Nothing. Here, America we have everything. We got all this great stuff. I was just bitching about this today at dinner, how great we have it. And, they were saying that, hey, John, you gotta understand that, a lot of humans, they don't have the ability to think of how they have it a lot better than most people in the world. And I'm like, yeah, but it's like, the thing is, you should be working really hard because you do live in America. That shouldn't be the reason why you work not as hard. It's like, good fucking Jesus. But, it's just like the aliens, though. Like, apparently, they're all over the fucking place. And, what humans can use. And the other thing, too, you think, they probably go to China, but they don't, the Chinese government, the Chinese people, their culture is a lot more, shh, don't talk. Shut the fuck up. Mind your business. Like, keep your head down, you dickhead. There's a lot of us here. We are all trying to make this work. So if you want to somehow make this all about you, you can go seriously fuck off. That's how their mindset is, which is great. It's brilliant. It's awesome. Have I ever told you? I had to have told you guys. I used to nanny. The craziest thing, nanny, whatever you want to look at it, for a Korean family, which is one of the most insane things. Looking back on it, I'm like, how did I get this job? Like, it's like they must have really entrusted me, and they must have really been like, this guy's he's a good, what the Europeans say, a good cunt, so I don't know why I say it like that, but. Yeah, but the funniest thing is, like, we'd be talking, I'd meet family members of this family, and, we'd be all talking English, and then the husband would just be like, well, John, we're going to talk in Korean now about you, so have fun. He could easily just have been kidding, because at that point in my life, I had no ability to understand any self-awareness, not any self-awareness, but any, like, humor or just like not on the nose. It was a bad time. It was just like, what? Huh? I was just real nervous. Looking back, yeah, nervousness. It was a lot of nervousness. Still, I think a lot of it comes from, I like to claim that it's anger, but I think it's just, is it nerves? No, I think it's just I don't want to talk. I'm totally cool with not talking. It's actually really weird, and I am. And the funny thing is, like, as much as I am cool with it, you think that, like, because I'm like just cool with it, like, I'm not aware of the awkwardness of the room, of not talking sometimes, or not, like, just like, I'm like, no, but I'm just like, yeah, this is really awkward. Like, John, you shouldn't be doing this. You're gonna really regret this later. You're going to regret this somehow. Like, you being kind of weird. Why are you being so fucking weird, dude? Like, dude, just like, maybe you should just, like, say, hey, how are you? If you just say, hey, how are you? But it's like, then I have to, like, listen. And it's not I don't want to listen. It's just then I'm like, because I'm so worried about, it's nothing about me. I'm more worried about, like, what is this person's going to download onto my brain? And what is it not going to, it's just like, when you get like a new job, like I did, and you listen to people, and people can bitch and they complain, but it's a brand new, different ways, and they're just like, how about can I just have this new thing that's just like this old thing, but this old thing is, all stained and cut up, and I don't have a receipt for it. And you're like, well, I can't, no, we can't do anything for you for that. And, and just fun, you just, what? Like, how dumb what? And it's foreigners, that's the thing. It's fellow brown people, that it is. And I'm like, bro, like, your hair is too gelled to the side, and you're too well kept to be acting like this, Mufasa. Like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, come on. Like, but it reminds me of my goddamn Egyptian father, because he's always like, Americans, they always want you to park in the driveway, and they all fat, and I'm like, like, you're fat. So it's just things in life. But yeah, new job. It's cool. It's good stuff. It's a good thing. Better than the hellhole I came from. Oh, God. You really don't know the hell that you come from until you move on and you interact with just, even if it's just, just dog shit. Just dog shit. Yeah, just sometimes you go, if you couldn't tell, did you tell? Like, I'm like, oh, I went deep into thought there. And then I almost like, well, is there a good segue to come out of that? Like, and there wasn't, and I dropped the ball. So what's the deal with Barack Obama? Him gay? Is he gay? I don't care. I really don't. It's no skin off my back. I don't give a shit what you are. To me, how it came off. If you're not familiar with this, okay, I should probably do a little bit of information. So apparently, some lady that Barack Obama dated when he was before he started dating Michelle, apparently when he was like 19, 21. Let's see here. And then while I'm looking that up, I'm going to continue talking about the story. He wrote a letter to her saying that, like, I daydream about sleeping with men. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, I daydream of sleeping with men. Barack Obama, letter. Yeah, let's read this. Yeah, told X. Yeah, Barack Obama tells X, I make love to men daily, but in my imagination. Which in turn, if you want my honest opinion, it sounds like a young man trying to say some stuff to a woman to sound deep. Hey, buddy, I've been there. We've all been there. Hey, I do a podcast. Don't you think I've stumbled upon the written word way before I picked up a microphone and thought, hey, maybe I should talk into this instead. Yeah, it's to me what it sounded like. I'm like, oh yeah, that's just like him. She was probably this artsy girl, and she was giving him a chance, and she was probably mixed, and she comes from more of like the high, like very high end stuff. Like, she has like 3 cars in the driveway. Like, her hair was always like permed, all flat, flat iron, just straight. Just a lot of those ditzy like white girls that get BMWs when they're 16 friends. Like, those were the girls and she was like, let's be an art major. And then she is just like, because it happens to everybody who goes to art school, no matter film school, art school, all of it, because it's all the fucking same. Because there's a point in life, because you have to start thinking, because when you start going to this thing, the first thing they tell you is that you need to find your voice. Like, what is your voice? What are you trying to say? And then if you are someone who is not gifted, not talented, but if you're someone who's trying to do it and actually being truthful with it, you will try many different things. And then what that happens is because how you feel is that you have to portray that as a human in some way. Like for me, I'll be the first one to admit, when I was in film school, I hated a lot of movies. I look back now, I watch them, I fucking love them. They are great, not because they were the best script in the world, because especially when you went to go to film school, you start dissecting all these movies because you start learning how everything's made. You learn the fucking ins and outs and all of it, and it all gets smashed within like 2 weeks of going to film school. You learn all of it for a good point, and like, because I remember there's points like, you're like, what? Like, the director doesn't do all of it? Like, there's a grip, there's a gaffer, there's lighting people, and that's just with like plugging things into outlets. That's all those people were, and wrangling up cords and putting things on a riser, making a riser, making a set. There's set designers. There's a production coordinator. There is, and that person works underneath the producer. And you're like, producer? And you're like, yeah, that person, it works at the studio head, and they're basically the middleman between the studio and the director. And that's where the money comes. And they're the ones, and that's really the place to be, right there. But you're a fucking bitch because you're stuck in between two people who are, one's trying to make art, the other one wants to make a product for the least amount of money possible. So it's like there's to them, to a corporation, they don't give a shit about any of the art. Like, they only give it, they will give a fuck for one movie, and that movie they're banking on that's going to win the Academy that year, or it's going to sweep in like art design, or it's going to sweep in like cinematography, one of those like top tier brackets of the Oscars, which is like, now Oscars, it's like, I remember growing up and how the Oscars were this massive thing, and it was just like this prestigious award that you'd want. And now it's kind of, I don't know, maybe it's because what we want in our society, and I feel in American society, what we want is we want full access of these humans, of our artists. And sometimes, like, it's not, you don't want that, because what happens is you get Clint Eastwood, who's 90 something years old, and he makes the movie Mule, and as someone of Latin descent, you're like, is he just making this movie so he can say wetback and spick? Now, don't get me wrong, I guess wetback, I have never thought wetback is ever a great derogatory thing, because there's only two, Cubans and Dominicans. Those are the only two people that swim to America. Everyone else, we take buses and we get on the back of banana trucks and shit. Like, we do that. We hide in crevices. We don't get on a raft and then 80 miles out swim like a dickhead. Like, that's insane. But also the other thing too, which is also a funny thing, saw Blue. Oh, these little things. I saw Blue Beetle, which was I couldn't tell you if it was Marvel, DC. I couldn't tell you which one it was. But what I can tell you was it was a superhero movie, and it was Latin based. And the thing is, like, they said there was a line that Mario Lopez said that they think it's hard getting to America or crossing the desert. Think about the next 25 years in America. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's way harder. Like, swimming is I guess, way easier, because I didn't get to America that way. Not saying my back isn't dirty in some way, because it just wasn't wet at all. It was more dirty. Yeah, it was more dirt. But dirtbag doesn't work as good as, like, because it sounds like dirtbag. It's too close, because the dirt and the bag starts with a B, back starts with a B. That's what I'm thinking too. Linguistically, it's not as pleasing as wetback. Wetback is such a way better term, and it's hilarious. You know what's so funny is being that culture and being able to say that, because it's full reign for me. I can say that, but maybe it's because it's so harsh. like spick. Like sometimes I say spick and like I'm with people and they're like, oh my god, like, you shouldn't say that, John. Like that's so harsh. And I'm like, I mean, but it's just our word. And I'm like, but it's like one of the things I should take it. Like, just because you can say it doesn't mean you can't. You should. The same thing with fuck. Like it's like, see, but anyway, so yeah, Barack Obama. I really wanted because this is. I'm like, what? So let's see here. Former President Barack Obama wrote in his own anthologies. Androgynous. You know what the truth is? I have never seen that word actually spelled. I've only said androgynous. Huh. Androgynous. It's a lot how like some words are. Like sometimes like I'm like I'll see it. I'm like, interesting. Like, well, let's break this down. And then I'm like, I have never actually seen this word. Have you ever said a word and then like you realize that you've never spelt it in your entire life, and it's like something that is just in your repertoire of words, in your just bank of words, which is also another weird thing too. It's just that we have a bank of sounds that we just keep to communicate. Because I was fucking at Target the other day and I heard these people in the it sounded it's like a lot of it's like Yiddish, but it was Eastern or Russian, which in turn, like if you wanted to tell me the truth, you could sit both of those sounds next to each other and I'm like, I couldn't tell you the difference. I couldn't at all. Not at all. Not even a little. It's all kind of, but I'm like, it's all fascinating because it's like, it's so weird. It sounds. All it is sounds. Much like what I'm saying right now is just a pile of sounds that we've all agreed, that X amount of people have agreed to being words. It's just words. Like it just, and then we call it words. Another thing too, don't you think it's crazy how the brain named itself? I know that's like the most highest statement you'll ever hear. Like someone who's like, he just took 2 puffs. Is like, have you ever thought about how like the brain like named itself? It is insane though. It is weird how that occurred. How that is the thing, or did it not? Or if you believe in a higher power, which is funny too. Did I talk about how? I'll get back to this Barack Obama thing. Don't worry. It'll get back. We'll get back to it. We're just putting a pin in it. Like we're doing some corporate talk right now because all this is just talk. We're gonna put a pin in that and we're gonna come back around. But did I tell you how I applied for a church job? Did I tell you guys that? And I'm like, so we come in, I shake their hands, and then we do a prayer. It's the first thing we do. Like, I'm like, how are you doing? Like, good. I'm like, good. And then next thing is like, all right, let's pray. And we pray, which is weird. And weird for me. It's cool if you want to do that. That's no big deal. And then the second question after like asking like, what is your plan right now, and what's your plan in 5 years? Like, what do you want to be doing career wise? And I'm like, it's always a good question to ask someone. Always a good question, makes them like, and it's always been one because I'm like, I have the mindset, and this is my mindset, and this is probably because I came from the third world, because unlike some of you people out there, you don't have family who live in the third world. And I'm not trying to get on a high horse because I'm not even stepping on. I don't have a horse in here to step on, but I am constantly reminded of how poor some of them are. And I mean, like, not like we do EBT card poor. I mean, like, look, their house looks like 4 pieces of tin put together. Still don't know how it stays together. And there's always a gap. There's always a gap about that big between the walls and then the roof. And I feel bad when I go and see him. I don't want to stay there. And it's like, not because, like, one, I'm terrified. 2, creatures and creatures. And 3, I'm like, wow, like that's how much you've grown out of it. And but there's like also a sadness that comes with that because you feel like you are betraying like your culture, which is, but like that's that what's the term for it? Dumb one, but it's also silly to think like that. What is it? It's like like you have a like a complex of like not thinking that you're worthy of getting something nice. I think that's like that third world guilt. It's this third world guilt. That's how I look at it. That's how I've always called it. Because I live like a weird life, you know. Like I can have just a job that allows me to do my writing, my film, and then I can play golf and work out, and or maybe it's like how I prioritize, is that the word? Prioritor. How I take things and I prioritize. How I have what things get seniority. Maybe that's what it is. Because in truth, because my back, like today was the first day I've been able to swing a golf club without having any real serious pain. Like it still stung a little, but I'm like, I think, by the end of the week it'll be fine. Like, and then because how me going to work, and then Tuesday is usually the day they do a lot of the groundkeeping work on the putting and the driving range and stuff like that. So it's closed down. Then I usually have Tuesdays off. And then, I come back on Wednesday and go till Sunday. That's usually the thing. Like Wednesday to Saturday. Hitting like 100 to 125, 150 golf ball. 150 golf balls. Easily. Like today was just like 7-iron. I went 7-iron, my 4 hybrid, and then I did my drive, my 1. Like maybe like six balls, and then my hybrid, what I mostly practiced on was just doing it off the ground instead of putting on that tee. Like for the most part, usually I'm not gonna lie to you, because it's just fun to hit it. It's fun to use your hybrids and then use your driver just to swing the shit out of it. Like, well, not swing, because swinging the shit out of it is actually worse. It's way worser than just doing a light swing, but you know what I mean, like hitting it and like seeing the ball go really far. Because with the driver, you're like, holy shit, way different versus like just a 7-iron. So like, just warm up 7-iron, do 7-iron, do 7-iron, 7-iron. I'd probably like close to 90 balls with my 7, and then the rest of it was like just, my hybrid 4, which is 17 degrees, I believe. I think that's what it is. And then my driver, I think, is 22. I might also have those reversed. I don't know. And to tell you the truth, I couldn't tell you what that means. I just know it's on it. And I heard a guy on a podcast describe that once when someone asked him like what he had in his bag. And so ever since then, I've always described my thing like that. And I'm just waiting for someone to call me out, because I'll be the first person like, oh yeah, I have no clue. And I'm like, or I'm waiting for like the moment where I can like, hey, what actually does that mean? I'm assuming it means like the tilt of the head, the center point of the driver. But, that's just putting, using context clues together. But yeah, so in former President Barack Obama has written in his own words, androgynous mind and making love to men daily, but in his imagination, according to a letter that was obtained by the Post, a letter that was written in 1982. To me, again, like I said, this is just saying, trust me. I go from episode 1 to like episode 182. Like it's a lot. Like, I'm not saying I'm a lot better, but there's growth a little bit. There has to be. There's shit, you're just, so he was probably writing, he was doing poetry, he was trying to impress this girl that was probably, she thought that he was not in the same league as her. And, he was just like, please, like, let's go on a date. Let's go on a date. And he like, he in his mind says like, if she would just go on one date, she would see how great I am. But in truth, what he did is he saw how much of a fucking monster she was. Because clearly, who knew later on in life that she would release this goddamn fucking letter saying that he made love to men in his mind. It doesn't even make sense. But, hey, again, what other profession can you do? Have like a sous chef be on your property and drown, and everyone's like, yeah, who's to say that you didn't kill him? Because aren't you connected to like the Clintons, and don't they just kill everyone? So just saying. But yeah, I and again, like, presidents, we know them for 8 years. We 8 years. 8 years. That's not that long. That's not that much time. And most of the time, what they're doing is just trying to keep the fucking, just trying to keep everything at bay, because like there's a fire over on the left side and there's a fire on the right side. Oh, that's great puns, because I just wasn't meaning on the right and left, but you know what I mean. Boom, boom, boom. Natural disasters. Some country wanting to use nuclear war. Like, there's always some bullshit. And then know the fact, like, he was the first, African American or black president. So, like, you don't think there was scrutiny on that as well? Like, oh my God, how could he be doing this? Because if we had a white guy in there right now, he wouldn't be doing this. It's like, no, it's just how it is. It is what it is, and how it runs. And yeah, to me, not that big of a deal. What else do we have? Don't go to Maui right now. I don't understand why that has to be said by fucking celebrities, and I don't understand what's there you want to see. They said it was like one of the worst natural disasters in American history ever. Like, why do you want to be a disaster terrorist? Tourist, not terrorist, tourist, a disaster tourist. Like, why would you tourist? But isn't that like a fucking Taurus? Isn't that a zodiac sign? But why do you want to be that? It's so perverse, kind of gross. It's really gross. Yeah, what? See a burned down 7-Eleven. It's not good. It's almost not as good. It's kosher. I just saw that. Good. Not that it fucking. How could this not be kosher? There's nothing in it. It's just water. It's water with like carbonated on it. It's literally carbonated water, natural flavoring. Just two titles. Two ingredients, you dickhead. See, this is why I get it. All right. Well, anyway, I have like 30 seconds left on this podcast. If you got this far, like, comment, and subscribe. I guess I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how I somehow got a second wind, and I kept putting a pin in it. We got back around to Barack Obama and his Barack Obama being sleeping with men in his or making love to men in his imagination. Yeah, it's hot. Be safe out there. It's so goddamn hot in Missouri right now. It's in, I don't know else. And there's like a tropical storm going on in Los Angeles, or a hurricane like weather, but it's, I'm like, awful, but I think it just rained a lot. But California can't handle that shit. So let me write. California can. Southern California can't. Los Angeles, to be exact. San Diego probably couldn't, but they're a lot smarter down there because there's an army base. So those people are naturally going to be a little bit tiny bit smarter than everyone else. Well, anyway, I got like 10 seconds left before this whole camera thing burns off. So, yeah. Bye. It's hot as hell. Bye. Hold on. and bye. Ugh.